Awesome. Welcome to the playground. So welcome, Greg. Thanks for being here. Really appreciate it.
Oh, no problem. No problem.
Okay. For those of you who don't know this world famous man here, this
Okay.
is Gregory Williams, leader and founder of the band Switch, of which I'm a co-founder with him. Honored to have you.
Absolutely.
Thank you for being here. Thank you so much. Okay, we're going to jump right into it. I learned some things from, like, I spoke to Philip last week, and as I told you before, there are some things that, as long as I've known him, there are some things I didn't know about him. So going back to the beginning, like when you first started, what brought you? I guess is trumpet your first instrument?
Yeah, it
You,
was.
obviously, you can see I'm talking to you like I don't know who you are, right?
But I get it. I get it. We cool. Think about it. When I worked for Rhino Magazine, I had to do the same thing.
So what drew you to the trumpet?
Believe it or not, man, and it's a story that I rarely get to tell.
Hmm.
My dad was a saxophonist, and I liked it, the not that I got to hear him frequently, but the times that I did get to hear him practice and things like that. Uh, I liked it, and I told him I want to play that.
Hmm.
He said,
Hmm.
"I'll tell you what you do when you get to school, when they offer music in the school, tell them you want to play the clarinet." Well,
Okay.
I got the C right and the net right, but it wasn't clear at all. It wound up being core. So I wound up getting cornet.
And those that are watching, you can see this is one of the reasons why I love this brother, because I mean he'll go into a direction where it's like, wait a minute, and before I know it, I'm like, I can't hear anything he's saying after that because I'm on the floor cracking up. I got the C net and and the net right.
I did, but nothing was clear at that time.
All right, all right.
So I
So for
wound up playing the cornet.
the
Fourth grade,
cornet.
9 years old,
Okay, so
and
you traded one C net for another C net.
absolutely. Well, that's how I translated what he said to what I wound up getting to when I got there.
Got you. Okay, all
You
right.
know,
Uh-huh.
and I knew it didn't look like his horn, but it was a horn, so it was cool.
Got you.
And I
Do you,
actually got to like it too after the first year or so. And I played it and wound up finding out it was in the brass family and whatever else was there. And the next evolution from cornet was trumpet,
okay.
and
Okay.
I actually got good at that.
Really? Now,
And
how old were you when you started?
well, I started when I was 9.
Oh, you started at 9. Okay.
Yeah, I
Okay.
started when I was 9.
Okay. So did you do like the school concerts and all that?
Eddie, and I never got a chance to tell you guys this.
Okay.
From like fifth grade until eighth grade, I was first chair trumpet player.
Wow. Okay.
I
All right.
played. I played
From
in the
fifth grade.
band class.
Uh-huh.
Okay, I may have done a couple like sports games, but not many. That wasn't me. By the time it got to sports in school, I was playing in the bar.
Hmm.
So, but
Okay.
what I did get to do, Eddie, was this. My music teacher, Mr. Berry,
Hmm.
like I said, I was first chair. So
Right.
he entrusted me when he had to leave the room or whatever. He'd
Okay.
come back in the room, and I got the tubas playing the bass line, and the altos and the horn and the trumpets playing the lead, and the lower saxophone doing harmonies for "Licking Stick" by James Brown. It got to the point he would leave me, and when he come in back, he'd find that. What are
Right.
you guys doing? And he'd trip out. This was a white guy, and most of the students were black. Not all
Uh-huh.
of them,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
but I had them up in there jamming. And it got to a point when he come out, when he come back, he'd step out and he'd come back, and I'm doing that till finally, Williams, get out! I know it's you. Get out!
Really? It's funny. I had a similar story, but mine was when I got into high school. Fence Walk by Mandrill.
Right.
No, my first time writing out a chart for the band, and all that stuff. Needless to say, there was like a whole bunch of like things that needed to be corrected in there. But Mandrill, that was the thing, man. And I had the drums going, and the tubas were playing that bass line and all that stuff. So that was my first thing.
Right. Same thing,
That
man.
was that was the hot one. That was a, so your trumpet. Obviously, are you looking at songwriting then, or did that take where you got into the keyboard, where you graduated to keyboard, or was keyboard there all along?
No, keyboard wasn't because I didn't have one in my home. I had to
Mm-hmm.
learn keyboard everywhere I could, at a friend's house and
Hmm.
at the school until they kicked me off, at a friend's house till they kicked me off, in the store until they kicked me off. I was
Mhm.
always getting kicked off keyboards, bottom line,
Okay.
but that's
Uh-huh.
how I learned
Uh-huh.
how to play it.
And it,
Until, believe it or not, I really was able to concentrate when White Heat moved to Akron, Ohio, and I used to sneak up there and steal the room at Akron U, and nobody put me out.
oh wow. Wow.
And
Okay.
that's where I got strong enough to say I could play the keyboard.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. And songwriting? Yeah, obviously you were like doing songwriting then, or songwriting ideas at least.
Songwriting I was doing maybe about 15, 16 years old. I remember the first song I actually wrote, I was probably 15 years old. The name
Mhm.
of the song is Love Drops. And I tell you what, if you heard it, you'd probably drop a brick on me.
Okay.
But you know, the funny thing about it though, man, had I not written Love Drops, I'll Call Your Name would have never got written.
Wow,
Or some of
really?
the other things. I mean, honestly, because that one song is what made me think I could. And back then, I thought it was a good song for a good few weeks anyway. And then I said,
Lo-
that ain't good enough. Let me try something else. And it evolved that. And then at that point, too, Bobby and I had met and we were just bouncing ideas off each other.
uh-huh. Uh-huh. Now do you remember any part of Love Drops? Or is that something that you chose
Yeah,
to
I
forget?
do, but that's another life. So,
Okay. Okay. Okay.
I do. I swear I do.
And
Oh,
real,
God.
real quick, and we'll focus on just for a second, and we're going to get into your book a little bit later. But
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
read in your book that the actor part. You got to tell us a little bit about that.
Oh, I did that for years, though. In
Did
fact,
you?
believe it or not, I sang and acted in Christmas plays starting at 5 years old.
What?
So also by the time, yeah, and I was doing different plays in grade school, not
Hmm.
as much in high school as I did in grade school.
Hmm.
But then I had the opportunity, last year of high school or so, I had an opportunity. A friend of mine wanted me to play, believe it or not, play keyboard for her when
Hmm.
she auditioned for this play.
Oh
It was an
wow.
off-Broadway play, The Me Nobody Knows.
Uh-huh.
And so I go down to play keyboard for her, and her and the director, who was also female, like the personality and all that. They talked me into auditioning. I auditioned and got the co-lead role.
Wow. Okay. All
A lot of
right. Now
people
was
would be
that
surprised with who I got the co-lead role to, but the other co-lead was Jeffrey Daniel Shalimar.
what? What? Now had you known Jeffrey before that? Obviously, I guess
Yeah,
you
I
did
known him
briefly.
before then,
Okay.
but I
Okay.
mean, but in bits and pieces. But when we got there, that's when we really got much tighter.
Right. Right.
Yeah, and Jeffrey's character was
Wow.
Lloyd, and my character was Clorox in the Me Nobody Knows. We were the two lead characters.
Wait. Jeffrey was Lloyd and you were Clorox.
Clorox, and
What?
we were orphans. The play was about some orphan kids.
Is that right?
A bunch of yep.
Now, was this what was the name of the play? Was this like a play
The
that had been
Me Nobody Knows,
the me nobody knows? Okay,
and it was
okay,
an
you did
off
say that.
Broadway play. I mean, our company did not do the off Broadway, but it was an actual. In
Hmm.
fact, it was a Broadway play,
Hmm.
and there was an off Broadway company, but my
Hmm.
company was not the company. But anyway,
Okay, okay.
yeah. I mean,
Um,
anybody want to find out about the play, they could Google it because I have.
got you. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, 40, 50
Cool.
years later, I have
Yeah,
almost.
that's excellent. That's excellent. So fast forward now to we're went through school, went through you went to college then, or was that later?
I went to college after high school. I mean,
Okay, okay.
yeah,
And then this.
1972, I think I started school. Started school
Okay,
in 72. That
okay.
didn't last long. I did 72. I went through completely through my sophomore year and then got pulled out of it.
Was that did Switch pull you out of that, or just the music career pulled you out of it? Or?
No, Barry
Oh,
White pulled
okay.
me out of that.
Ah, okay, okay. Okay, okay.
Yeah.
So
I got the
so
call
Barry
that said,
so
you
Barry
got
White got in the way of your schooling.
Barry White got in the way of everything, man.
I knew you were going. Okay,
Barry
gotcha.
White got in the way, trust me. But that's a big old brother. He ain't got no choice but to get in the way.
I knew. I knew you were going there. I knew it. I knew it. But what was it like work with him? I mean, we've shared. You told the stories and all that. But what was it like working with Barry White?
It was tough, but it was good. Barry, strangely enough, Barry took a liking to me. And I'd say strangely enough because Barry didn't really connect with everybody in the band like that. Him and
Hmm.
TC talked a lot,
Hmm.
and me and him connected musically. I don't know whether he saw some, heard some, or what with me, but yeah, he did. I know exactly what it was. He caught
Hmm.
me sneaking in the studio and watching him when I wasn't supposed to be in there. None of us were supposed to be in there. He was working on this song, and I liked the song. I was listening to it from outside, and he was working on this song. So I went in, I stood in the door, and he was still in there working on it, and he didn't tell me to leave. I don't think he saw me, so I snuck down to the front, in front of the console, where you don't see nobody, nobody.
Right.
And
Now,
as the song ended, he said, "Yeah, you think?" He said, "MFI, you think I don't see you down there? You're down there now. Come on up here, let's talk about it."
Yeah. So,
What the song was, though, Eddie?
What was it?
Can't get enough of your love.
What?
Darling, I can't get enough of your love, baby. That was the song he's working on.
That's funny. I gotta tell you, with the bands I play with here in town and all that stuff, that's the song that I least hate to play because I said least hate, the least love to play because everybody in town plays that song. Everybody.
Really?
I can't get away from that song.
Well, come on. A classic is a classic is a classic.
Thanks, Greg. Thanks a lot. I'll never escape that song. So would you say that working with Barry was like, and like I said, you told us stories and all that. Was it? I wouldn't say like a Barry White University kind of thing. I mean, did you learn a lot from him?
The funny thing is, I learned a lot watching him, but not from him. Because again, the communication had its limits or whatsoever, and the times that we get to be around him had its limits. I don't mean anything negative by this because I enjoyed my experience with Barry.
I understand.
But what I'm about to say is, I learned more what not to do than what to do.
Wow.
At least on the business end.
I was just going to say musically or business. Right.
Yeah, at least on the business end, I learned a lot of more what not to do. Not that he did a bunch of garbage or made a bunch of mistakes. He was just a hardcore businessman. There was very little passion in how he did business. It was straight ahead. And,
When you say hardcore, is that in a good business way or bad business way or?
Well, you know what?
Just so you know, just so the audience knows, like I said, as far as the playground, that's kind of the reasons for the name. Because I mean, you can go to the playground and you can have fun, but by the same token, we shared this. You have bumps and bruises on the playground as well. Fall off the monkey bars, slip off the slide, or whatever.
Right.
So, and I want to share that side as well. So
right.
For those up and comers, they need to know.
Yep. Well, with Barry White, it was watching because, and what it was is this. We signed these contracts, man, that was just stupid, and it didn't mean nothing. We never got a royalty check. We never got a royalty statement whatsoever, although I think we got more records back than we printed up anyway. So, because the record was that bad, if you ask me. So, but anyway, the thing is that it was all business. It was nothing personal. It was nothing, there was very little warmth in the relationship. Of course, we young musicians and we out there with our heart in our hand and all we want to do is play music. And Barry done been there and done through that one. He done went on to some other stuff and all he want to do is make the money.
Got you.
So Barry, to be honest though, in that statement, it's no different than Berry Gordy, no different than Clive Davis, no different than Mo Austin, no different than all the major record labels in the world. Their objective is money, and you are a product. And as long as you're selling, they're with you. And the second you stop selling or lose your appeal, they move on. And products in the record industry have a short lifespan anyway, unless you become a Michael Jackson or a Prince or something like that. You have a short lifespan. So. As this one young man said to his group in the early stages of the game, we better ride it for what it's worth because it ain't gonna last long.
Right. Good man. And
I think I know the fellow who said that. The fellow who said that lives in my mirror.
You talk with him every day.
I swear I do. Trying to duck him, but can't. He ain't having it.
Right. So moving on.
Hey, I have a quick question for you. Do you want a professional agency to handle all your video creation, syndication, and monetization needs? We totally understand that new leads and customers are the lifeblood for any business. And if you're looking to grow or scale your business, using video is definitely the best way to go. Here at Melrose 11, we specialize in getting you the results you need to help you grow your business by generating new leads, driving more traffic, and closing more sales without breaking your bank. Did you know according to HubSpot, having a well-targeted video on your landing page can increase conversions by up to 80%? Yeah, and up to 64% of users are more likely to buy a product online after watching video than by text alone. And that 92% of mobile users share videos with others. And 90% of users say that videos are helpful in their purchase decision making. Incorporating video into your marketing and social media activity is no longer an option, it's an absolute requirement if you're looking for long-term success. Heck, it may even be essential for the very survival of a business. Here at Melrose 11, media truly is our passion. We create animated explainer videos, social teasers, catchy intros, full HD commercials, and even viewer interactive videos. So, if you're looking to elevate your brand, or attract more leads, generate more sales, increase traffic, or build up more exposure for your business, then you've definitely come to the right place. Our professional team will develop your video campaigns at an affordable price, with our fast turnaround times, and a quality of work that can't be beat. We look forward to working with you.
Hey!
First of all, I got to say how proud I am to know this book, to know this man wrote this book, and this is not no little bit book. I mean, look at this. This is serious. This is very serious.
Absolutely. Wait a minute, because I always get it wrong, but I think I got it right. I've been telling people it's 556 pages, Eddie, but actually it ends on 547.
Okay.
Okay.
So tell us a little bit about the book.
Oh, well, the book is the story of my life for the most part. It's my autobiography, but it's also the story of Switch in the early stages of the game through the Motown years, basically. And I was so blessed to remember all these many things that I.
That's the thing that got me, man, that you remembered all this stuff. I mean, and like you said, it's your life story as well as like the Switch story and everything else. But I mean, that you remembered.
I did, and fortunately, the book has been selling for a year now. It really is, and the reviews have been, for the most part, excellent. But there was some guy, you always got somebody. I wish I could find him and slap him a couple times. But my consolation was, well, at least he paid to have an opinion because he had bought the book.
There you go.
So,
there you go.
Anyway, and he was saying, I don't believe he remembered all that stuff. I don't know who helped him write that. Well, let me tell you guys something. I, at 50 years old, went back to college to get a degree in English so I could write this book. And I wrote this book. And I will tell you, there were a couple times when I got cold feet in the course of writing it, because it took me, I took my time. I did about 5-6 years. And I got a couple cold feet at the end of it a couple times in writing it. So I pulled in an editor to kind of help me shape things up. I was questioning my own abilities. And both times that I brought in editors, when they brought it back to me, it was their story. It wasn't mine.
Oh, wow.
It was in their words. It wasn't mine.
Okay. So you couldn't hear yourself in the book. So you've corrected that.
Yeah, I did it. I went back and I tightened it up and I did what I had to do with it to make it make sense. I fired them. They got my money though, but that's okay. They can keep the money. But I made it back.
I was gonna say you'll get it back.
Yeah, I got back. But I dove in. And I wrote it, and because I made sure that this was my voice. And so whomever gets it, you're gonna get the truth, the whole truth, and a few minor errors and there's a few things in there, glitches in there that ain't right. Graphical errors. But that's all right, as long as you get the story, as long as you understand. When I stutter, when I repeat myself 16 times to get one word out, I'm stuttering like Jermaine Jackson or Arnie Hayes. That wasn't a mistake in my writing. I was stuttering for them. Okay.
Got you. Well, it's a very, very, very well written book, and like I said, when I first saw it, Greg had been talking about this for years, that he's been writing it and all that stuff, and he's kind of been writing it quietly that I know of, because he'd talk about it and then you wouldn't hear anything for like months or years or whatever.
Right.
And then next thing I know, I go to LA for a rehearsal, and there's a box of these, and I can't tell you, and Greg knows how proud I was.
Absolutely. Oh yeah. Absolutely.
I remember that cover, and I'm like, man, look at this. And
wait a minute. Let me tell your viewers.
Copy.
You did. You honestly did. Because let me tell your viewers how Eddie reacted.
Uh-oh.
We talked for a little bit. We're in the house, and I showed him the book, and we talk, and he complimented me, and he amazed at me, and then we move on to something else, and he'd stop in the middle and say, "You wrote a book." Greg Williams wrote a book.
And
he did that a few times.
And the thing was, it was actually out. I mean, he actually had this, you know, especially in this business, you have a lot of talkers, you know, and all that stuff. I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and next week it's going to be out, and then next week never comes, and all that.
Right.
Greg actually talked about this and followed through, and again, I keep reaching for it because, like I said, I can't tell you how proud I am of it. This is awesome, man. This is really
Thank
cool.
you, sir.
This is really
Thank
cool.
you.
So, as he said, you know, I'd interrupt him in the conversation, like, look at this, look.
He did. Trust me, he did.
So congratulations on that. So for you, what is the next step?
Well,
I know Switch is in there somewhere. I don't know.
Let me say two things. Number one, if we can make it happen, come on.
Mm-hmm,
but the thing of it is this: that book that I wrote, I had written so much for so long, and like I said, I second guessed myself.
Mm-hmm.
Where finally, when it came to a head, I had so much stuff I had to figure out where to stop. And figure out where to stop and figure out where to stop. And as I'm telling you, the book is 547 pages, so you gotta know I was writing my butt off. Well, it winds up that after I stopped, I was 186 pages into the second book.
Okay.
Because I had all this extra stuff, you know, and there's so much life that I had lived beyond that, including managing Debarge and SWV. And working on the magazine with Cynthia Horner, and you know, all that, being a part of Sugar Hill Records, and there's so much more of a career and so much life after that. That now, you guys, I'm more than halfway done with the second book, and the name of the second book so far, unless I change it, Eddie, can I be candid?
Absolutely.
With your people.
Absolutely.
The name of the first book is Switch, Debarge, Motown, and Me. The second book is Switch, Debarge, Me, and the rest of that. Just want y'all to know.
I believe you too.
Okay.
So okay. While you were talking about like as far as like you had gotten to like 180 pages into the next part, and that's kind of gonna lead me into like another question too. Your process as far as writing this book. I know it could take hours as far as like what your writing process was, but for the book, and then I want to go back to the music part, like what your writing process was, what your writing process is as far as the music as well. Like when you write a song in the book, I'm sure that's a little bit more complicated. What exactly what is that?
Okay, the process of the book, first of all, was.
I mean, is this like in spare time, or I mean, you know?
It was spare time. It was made time. It was on a whim. It was being pushed by somebody. When I went back, like I said, I went back to college. One of my professors, ironically, it was the strangest thing in the world because I'd never met this guy before in my life when I went into his classroom. And it took me going to 2 classes to actually, for me and him to have a meeting of the minds and find out that he too was a Grand Rapids boy.
Oh, wow. What?
And his
what
brother,
are the chances?
his brother and I were friends, actually dated the same girl. When I left anyway, for years.
Anyway.
She was my girlfriend, and I left, and she wound up being his girlfriend, almost his wife, for years.
Wow.
Anyway, so his brother and I were pretty close. And I had never met him. And why I had never met him, his brother lived his life in the streets and around the music and the stuff like that. And this guy was a scholar. And as I said, he wound up being a college professor. Well, anyway, once we found out how close we were, we started hanging out. He'd come to my house, I'd come to his house. And I told him that I came back to school to do a book. He said, well, have you started? I said, yeah. He said, you got something you want me to see? I said, no, not yet. He said, you know what? I'll tell you what. Then I won't mess with you on your book as long as you promise to do my radio show. He was doing a radio show.
An interview?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I did the interview he was on the college radio station, Cal State Northridge.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Okay. So I did his radio show, and we started talking more about, we did talk about the book, and he said, I tell you what, why don't you talk to me about it? He said, since we interviewing, why don't you talk to me about it? That became a sort of a ritual. Him asking me questions. I had the my tape recorder on, hearing myself tell him all this stuff. And that's what actually prompted me to get more clarity in my stories. Because once I heard myself play it back, I knew what was. I wound up in the room every time. I wound up with the people I was with that I was talking about. I wound up in the restaurants or the studios, and that's what helped clarify what I was writing, to talk it out first and have these recordings. And believe it or not, I still got those recordings right here today.
Do you really?
Got them all.
Wow, that's excellent. And
but that's what made it work for me, to write, to talk it out and then go back and write it out.
Oh, okay. It's kind of interesting though too, because when Philip and I spoken, we would talk about like when the three of us would get together. You know, we can be out to dinner, and 3 hours later, you know. And I remember saying at one of those dinners that we should have, you know, we should have a tape recorder sitting right there at one.
You
of our
said that in
dinners.
Vegas when we were in Vegas. It was October 16th of 2016 when we did that thing at the Orleans.
Whenever
there go my memory, Eddie. That tell you my memory's good. See?
Yep, I know. Yep. You and Philip, how you guys remember all these dates? How you guys remember these dates kills me. You know. So with that, and then your songwriting as well. How does what's your process as far as songwriting?
Come what may.
Speaking of bumps and bruises,
for real. But honestly, Eddie, it's come what may. I mean, I can come here and I can sit on my piano, and it'll come out. Or I can be cussing somebody out and say something, I should tell you that again. And then I write a song about it. Like, this ain't fair, and, you know, things like that. But it just happens, man. It's just, you know, it just happens. A lot of, for example, writing I Call Your Name with Bobby. We were sitting in the living room. We got the keyboard in the living room. He starts playing. I start singing. We start working. We just wrote the song. It just happens. You know?
And I got to tell you, of all the songs that Greg has written, Greg, I'm sure you know this, Without You in My Life, that is my jam. That's my cut.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
you, sir.
When you wrote it, I remember being in the studio as you were writing it, and I remember being there, particularly when you were like laying down the piano track and all that. There's so many things that I remember as far as like the good times that we had with Switch and all that, and that was definitely one of them. When that song was being born and watching it, like, you know, grow and come to what it became. Great song.
Thank you. I had a few people ask me to redo that. I didn't get around to it. The one person that I wanted to redo it on was Angie Stone, because that is her favorite song. I mean, that we built a friendship on her loving that song so much, because when I went over to Sugar Hill and started working in '83, she said, I was introduced to her. Joy Robinson introduced us. She said, Greg Williams, you're not the Greg Williams that wrote she did say Greg Williams, the Switch. You're not the Greg Williams that wrote Without You in My Life, are you?
Wow.
Tickle me. Really?
I
said, you heard the song? She said, I listened to Switch. She said, but that is my all-time favorite song.
I tell you, of all the songs you've written, man, that's my song. That's
Thank
my song. So as far as those that are coming up in the business or whatever, you have a lot of advice, I'm sure. And that'll probably be another show too, or another. Or is that your third book?
Yep, that's one of them. Come on, Tom.
So what comes across your mind now as far as like, you know, advice that you would offer like to those that are up and coming in the business?
You know what I got, and there's so much that I could share, you know, at any given moment. But I've got one thing that I say that's most important, because a lot of talented people struggle with it when, you know, at various times in their lives, they struggle with it. And that is believing in yourself, believing that you can do this no matter what, believing that there's a possible place for you, that there could be a place for you. You got to believe in yourself, despite mama, despite daddy, despite everybody else. You know, hopefully in many situations, you got mom and dad support in everything you do, including the music. But even if you don't, because I'll be honest with you, my dad could only contribute very little because he wasn't there. And my mom understood working for a living, even though she was a gospel singer, she never did anything. See, they didn't understand what I was reaching for because they had never lived on that side of the street. And I didn't fault them, and I didn't deem it as a negative, but that's what it was. They didn't. So I had to support Greg on all of this. I really did. I had to look at that guy in the mirror who is so famously kicking me in the butt sometimes now, and say, you got this, dude, you can do this. And once and I say that to you because, trust me, obstacles, pains, you know, it's a difficult journey, you know, and a lot of people quit. A lot of people do some stupid stuff and don't survive it. You know, you got to believe in yourself enough to say, okay, I'm not going to do that. Such as, and I'll just share a little tidbit.
Please.
In my book, there's a story about my journey into a life of crime. Okay? Because it was a part of my environment. I mean, I'm a poor little ghetto kid. You know, it's either that or, you know, we didn't have nothing. So it's like, try to catch it where you can. I'm hanging out with some bad boys skipping school. These two brothers, one 5 feet tall, other twins. One 5 feet tall, other one 6 feet tall, Ricky and Mickey. I'm hanging out with these cats. They like to break in houses and steal purses. Well, I'm hanging out with them. You know, these are my friends. And a few times they do the stuff. I wasn't around, or they give me some of the money. Okay, well, of course, if they doing it and getting me the money, then I got to, my turn's coming. I don't do this kind of stuff. So we talked me, and I say we, talked me into snatching this lady's purse. Little old lady in front of the bank. She couldn't been no more than 5 feet tall. In front of the bank. Well, okay, I got to do this because, you know, I got to pay my dues to the back. Right. I run and I snatch the lady's purse. Little old lady, she snatched back. I fall down. She beat me with her umbrella. I got up and ran.
This is not a TV show or a cartoon. This actually happened.
I'm telling you the truth. It's in the book. It's in the book. I wrote about it. I had to. I broke out and ran. Needless to say, that ended my life of crime. I wasn't cut out. I was not cut out for it. You know, they got all these laws now by different names. Well, that was the umbrella law. It broke me from
the umbrella law. Great.
So anyway, but point being, I realized I wasn't cut out for that. I was cut out for this. I was cut out for music. So get the garbage out of your life and stick to your guns. You know, you've got to build around it too. I do tell you that. But my most important thing to tell you is believe in yourself. And then second to that, if you can find somebody that believes in you like you believe in you, but ain't trying to do what you're doing, meaning somebody that will learn the business like you learn the music, and they will be your eyes in the back of your head.
Very good.
Because it's a rough journey trying to do it by yourself.
It is. Very good.
It's a rough journey, period, but more so by yourself. But the bottom line, those two things I think are key and important to believe in yourself and then find a support team that's got your best interests at heart as well.
Awesome. Well, I was going to say I'm going to close on that, but first of all, let me mention, if ever you get the opportunity to have Greg Williams cook for you, take it.
Thank you.
This man is like the chef of life. I'm telling you. And that's not, I mean, it's kind of spoken of like, you know, kind of like, oh yeah, by the way, but I am here to tell you, if ever you get a chance to have Gregory Williams cook for you, please.
That's awesome, Eddie.
Please.
And I appreciate you sharing that.
And of course, the popcorn is legendary. Everybody knows that. So anyway.
I appreciate you sharing that because I'm down here spoiling them in Georgia now.
Of course.
Oh God, I'm having
as
fun.
Well, you should be down there in Georgia. Yeah. Well, listen, Greg, thank you so much, my brother. I really appreciate you. I love you, and best to you from here on out. You know, and of course, I'm going to be right with you on that journey from here on out.
Absolutely, we're gonna do the darn thing. We rode in together. We're gonna ride out together.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thanks for being on the playground with me. I really appreciate
I've enjoyed. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much.
All right, buddy.